1, 2,
3,
4, 5.
Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. This quote by Nelson Mandela describes one of the problems facing America today. The next generation of Americans is being victimized by an education system in dire need of repair. This issue has been discussed for years, but no legislators have come up with a solution for this nationwide issue. There is no more time for America to be put to shame by other nations' superior school systems. There needs to be legislation put in place to reform U.S. education systems because the system is outdated, the schools are overpopulated, and schools can't properly educate students for the modern age. My name is Joseph Trice, and this is Bringing Schools into the 21st Century. To begin, the education system is extremely dated and in dire need of updating. America still uses the same system implemented over 100 years ago. Although the curriculum has changed slightly, there's still a teacher droning on in front of a class of students. Not all students learn effectively from this method, and this uniform style shows the age of the system. The last major federal act, the Elementary and Secondary Education Act, was passed in 1965, nearly 60 years ago, according to the U.S. Department of Education. At this time, the moon landing hadn't happened yet, and technology was still private sector exclusive. Nobody had a cell phone, nobody had a computer. Too much has changed in society to let the same system chug along, malforming our nation's youth. Until federal law is passed, it's up to the states to make an individual effort to mold the education system. Tennessee has a good school system, but there are millions of other students suffering in lesser systems across the country. A student in any state is entitled to a quality education and shouldn't be playing a lottery based off of where they're born to see if they get a good education. This next issue is one that we do not have to deal with at Moore County, but is one of the most pressing issues within our nationwide education system. American schools are grossly overpopulated, and schools cannot safely or effectively teach their students. Overpopulation in American schools is a health issue. As shown with the 2019 COVID pandemic, the only way to control a viral outbreak is to make students quit attending. Schools should have a solution to a breakout that does not include sending their students home and jeopardizing their learning for months on end. Packed schools are also a major safety hazard. The U.S. is notorious for school shootings worldwide, and this epidemic is caused by students who go unattended within the system. If they have problems and aren't attended to, they can fester and turn into a school shooting. According to worldpopulationreview.com, the United States has experienced 208 shootings, and the next highest is Mexico with 8. You think when your country has 200 more school shootings than the next highest, it will be a priority for legislators to address. But all other countries in the world, if you put together their school shooting numbers, combined still doesn't reach the amount that America has experienced. Parents should not feel comfortable sending their children to a school in such dangerous environments such as U.S. public schools. A crowded school system makes it hard for students to get attention they need in their education. The one-size-fits-all style in public schools does not work, and students should not be expected to adopt their learning style to our outdated system. A Bay Atlantic University article on learning styles lists visual, auditory, kinesthetic, and reading and writing as 4 different styles, and the article details how each style of learning is different in students. It's impossible for a teacher to stand in front of 20 to 40 students and properly teach in all 4 of these different styles. Students can easily slip through the cracks when they are not taught in the way that best suits them. Even in a perfect world where all students learn in their style, the current school system has dated goals, not properly preparing students for the modern post-secondary world. In our modern world, there are lots of ways for adults to earn a living aside from college. The trade industry is very hot right now, but schools do not make it easy for students to learn a trade before graduating high school. Students in our school system must wait until their senior year to attempt to learn a trade, and this is far too long to force them to prepare for a college education that they're not going to use or not going to try to get. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics states, in October 2020, 62.7% of 2020 high school graduates ages 16 to 24 enrolled in college. For nearly half of high school graduates to not explore what schools have pushed them to learn their entire career, it seems unreasonable to offer alternative education courses, to not offer alternative education courses for students for longer than a year. There are other career paths outside of trades students can pursue instead of studying to get into college. Young adults can pioneer a business or start working a job to try to advance up the chain instead of wasting time on preparing for university. Compulsory education should not be mandatory all the way through high school. Changing compulsory education laws will let young adults that do not want to go to college start making money and alleviate overpopulation in schools. If we didn't force all of our students to go to school, then the ones who wanted to be there would get more attention throughout their time in school, and this would help alleviate learning style differences, as well as probably lower our numbers of school shootings per year, because that's an obvious issue that needs to be taken care of. In conclusion, the American education system is in dire need of renovation to educate its students for the modern world. By forcing students to go through a dated, overcrowded, and misguided system, America is jeopardizing the success of its youth. Students should have the freedom to study what they want to study and how they best study in a modern and safe environment. Legislators should start trying to solve this nationwide issue now instead of letting students suffer. It is owed to the modern youth to update their schools to modern times. Thank you.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.